When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Mess & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Mess & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Eagles fans, welcome back to another edition of Football 24/7. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II, and I'm joined by none other than our Philadelphia Eagles insider here at JAKIB Sports, John McMullen. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you guys want more from John, you guys know what to do. Check him out on si.com, Fan Nation. Also, check him out on jakibsports.com as well. He does a lot of great writing for both platforms. And also, make sure you guys check him out on Birds 365 with his partner in crime, Jody McDonald. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Time to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, John, enough with the pleasantries, my friend. A lot's been going on with the Philadelphia Eagles these past handful of days. A lot of moving and shaking, a lot of hires and fires. First and foremost, before we get into the content, how are you feeling, sir?
I'm doing well. I mistexted you. It's been one of those days. And now, just as we're starting this show, I'm finding out that scuttlebutt up in Boston is that the Eagles were trying to back channel Bill Belichick. Man, this organization is something else.
Ooh, they keep you on your toes, right?
Yeah. Basically, if Nick didn't agree to the coaching changes, Bill would have been in play.
Come on. Do we really think Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie would have just relinquished control like that after they've been through a Chip Kelly scenario?
Well, that's the thing. Howie's very close. For those who don't know, he's very close to a bunch of people in the New England organization, Bill being one of them. Dave Ziegler, who was there before, he's very close to. Obviously, Jeffrey's always, grew up a Patriots fan, wanted to buy the Patriots before he bought the Eagles.
Right, I remember that.
From the Boston area. So he has tremendous respect. Obviously they wouldn't give seed power, so it would have to be more Bill, agreeing to a certain setup, and maybe he's at the stage of his life where he agreed to that. But Greg Bedard is the one who's saying it, longtime reporter up there, very plugged in. So when I saw his name, I said, oh, Mike Florio mentioned it before the playoff game, and I kind of rolled my eyes because a lot of clickbait over there. But Greg's pretty plugged in. And, basically said, if Nick wasn't amenable to all that stuff, he would have been gone. And they back channeled Bill during the season. Jeffrey Lurie's a good owner. I say it pretty consistently, but except when it comes to this.
Well, listen, man, he's let's not forget, where the money comes from. He's a movie guy. right? Producing and so on and so forth. This man loves theater. He loves the theatrics, clearly. No matter how much the Eagles try to pretend like they're trying to control the public relations and narrative. Oh yeah, they love some of this stuff. You got to you got to believe it. It's pure theater.
I just think he's too reactionary. I don't think he loves. In fact, I think he shies away from the spotlight.
And I say that tongue in cheek, of course.
Yeah, he just can't sit still when things aren't going the way he wants. And we're going to talk about the assistant coaching changes. You hire a rookie coordinator, you hire a defensive coordinator with 1 year experience. And I said this on Birds this morning. You don't expect growing pains? I mean, what, come on, dude.
You bring up a good point.
So, a lot of this is, self-fulfilling prophecy of not allowing young coaches to grow. And then the disconnect. I wish people could see the way this organization talked about guys like Press Taylor, guys like Alex Tanney. And then all of a sudden turns around a year, 2 years later and say, these guys are overmatched. I mean, come on. Which is it?
So what do you think? What do you think is going on then, John? I mean, you're in the organization, you speak to these people on a regular basis. What feeling are you getting around a building? Do you sense anxiety? Do you sense nervousness? Do you sense indecisiveness?
Well, definitely indecisive. This to me is, Ben Johnson's going back to Detroit. I mentioned it on Twitter. Turned down basically Washington. He was going to get the Washington job. So second straight year, he turned down a head coaching job. Supposedly in league circles, he was asking for a lot of money for a first-time head coach, a lot of money. So that part of it played into it as well, I assume. But, people are going to start talking. If this season doesn't get off to a good start or struggles somewhere along the line, people are going to start talking about, oh, the Eagles got to go get Ben Johnson. The Eagles got to do this. The Eagles got to do that. They have a lame duck coach. Doesn't work. And you're almost throwing away a season unless everything fits together perfectly. And what are the odds that's going to happen? You better hope these coordinators are superstars, because otherwise you're going to start over again.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point, right? Along with Vic Fangio coming into the building, you bring in Kellen Moore, right? Kellen Moore is the new OC. He has 5 years of offensive coordinator experience, 4 in Dallas, 1 in Los Angeles with the Chargers. And I'm curious, I don't want to pollute the question. What was your instant reaction to the Kellen Moore hire? And how do you feel about it now? Has your opinion shifted or evolved since then?
No, he's a fine coach. He's a good offensive mind. It's sort of the pendulum theory I always talk about. He uses a lot of motion. The Eagles didn't use motion. He'll put the quarterback under center. The Eagles don't put the quarterback under center and lets it push. He's good at designing passing concepts. So it all makes sense from that perspective. But the part, I don't know. I said it numerous times. Nick Sirianni has said it so many times I can't even count. This is my offense. As long as I'm here, it's going to be my offense. It doesn't matter if Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson, Tone DeShields, John McMullen's running it. It's going to be my offense. It's now not going to be his offense. And, to what, basically Greg was saying, same thing Jeffrey did with Doug Peterson. You got to do certain things. You got to fire certain people. And he wouldn't do it, and he got fired. Sirianni was given the same deal. You got to do certain things. You got to fire certain people. And he was amenable to it. And that's the difference. But is he happy with it? I can't imagine he's happy with it. I can't imagine he's happy with
He
it.
has to see the writing on the wall, with all of this. He has to.
Yeah, I'm sure he knows he's coaching for his job, and that's never a position you want to be in because people realize that. Not only does he realize it, the assistants realize it, the players will realize it once they get in here and cobble together the team. So, everything, if you're winning, everything's fine. But if you're losing and, then things can go in a negative direction pretty quickly.
Yeah, here's my bit of a conspiracy theory. Try to follow me here, John. I know you don't do well with conspiracy theories, but try to roll with this one for just for the moment here. This is how I look at this whole situation with Nick Sirianni, especially when you bring in Kellen Moore, a guy that you actually brought in the same year to interview for that head coaching job in 2021, the same year you hired Nick Sirianni. My thought process is this: we know the Philadelphia Eagles are prone to hedge their bets. That's how they move. That's how they think. They always think of the plan B, the contingency, right? Always trying to think a step ahead. My thought process is they brought in Kellen Moore, yes, as the offensive coordinator, but also they brought him in as, I don't know, if Nick Sirianni doesn't really live up to his end of the bargain, if the Eagles struggle, if they start the season, I don't know, 4-4, 3-5, what's stopping Howie Roseman or what's stopping Jeffrey Lurie from pulling the plug on Nick Sirianni, elevating Kellen Moore to the interim? A guy that you already interviewed? Kind of seems like a seamless transition to me.
No, I mean, obviously they could do that. And I think, Vic's a former head coach as well, Vic Fangio. Not Kellen hasn't been yet, but Vic's 65. I do think if they would do that in season, Kellen would be the guy that they would elevate to be
because
the head
he's
coach.
going to be a head coach at some point. He has 5 years of OC experience. He's been interviewing here and there. It's going to happen. And he already interviewed for this job. I mean, again, like I said, it would be an almost seamless transition. This is already his offense that that the Eagles are going to be running.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be seamless because if it's, you're at that position, things are not going well. So I wouldn't use the term seamless.
Let me not say seamless. The obvious transition. Let me say obvious.
Yeah, it would be the obvious transition. Now, Jeffrey doesn't have a history of firing guys. He fired Chip with 1 game left. So, I mean, it was not the end of the season, but certainly, not relevant in season. So he doesn't have a history of doing that knee-jerk reaction, but they definitely have guys that could take over in an interim role now. They didn't necessarily have that with the old coaching staff. So, I mean, that's part of the lame duck, and that's part of the problem. Everybody knows he's the lame duck. Jody doesn't like that term because he's not on the final year of his contract, but that's not the point. The point is he's coaching for his job. And everybody knows it. And that, as I said, that can often go in a negative direction. But look, I don't think the Eagles handle this well. And a lot of people get mad at me for saying bad things about Jeffrey. But 95% of the time I say he's a good owner. Everybody forgets about that. But in this particular circumstance, he's way too reactionary. He's way too willing to throw people under the bus. You're gutting the coaching staff. Nick's not happy about it. Nick's close to a lot of these guys that won't be back. Clint Hurt's going to be we now know, defensive line coach. That means Tracy Rocker's out. Carl Scott's going to be either something. He might be the secondary coach. He might be a senior defensive assistant. That could mean that DK McDonald's out, who's close to Nick.
And these haven't been officially announced, these firings per se, so to speak. They haven't been officially been announced.
No,
right?
Well, they won't announce the assistant. They generally don't announce officially the assistants until the whole staff is put together.
Okay.
But I mean, he's coming. Clint's coming. He's former defensive coordinator in Seattle. So, it's a bigger name. Yeah, you can't spend 3 years talking up guys and then turn around and say they're terrible. Well, actually you can because they do
They
it.
just did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not a
they
good
did it,
look.
and they did. No, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. And I don't. I Nick makes $7 million a year, so I can't tell anybody to walk away from $7 million. And he's got a bunch of kids and a family, but man, I wouldn't have stayed. I wouldn't have stayed.
Why wouldn't have you stayed?
Not let me do my job.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, look, you said it best. No one's walking away from $7 million. I know a lot of people were talking about, Bill Belichick and then Frank Reich. Listen, Frank Reich still got money coming in from Carolina. You think he jeopardizing that to come to Philly? I thought about that for a while, and I'm like, maybe not. And then Bill Belichick, he's still getting paid from New England, I assume. So,
well, Nick has made a lot of money. This is his 4th year, so he's made over $20 million. So, he's in a position where he can walk away. Doug walked away. People can walk away. He's going to get, if he did walk away, maybe he wouldn't have gotten another job this year because of the timing of it. But with his resume, he certainly would have gotten another job down the road after sitting out a year. Yeah. Look, I can't blame him. He loves the game. Maybe he doesn't want to sit a year. All of this stuff can factor in, but guy's not letting him do his job, which is, if you don't want to let him do his job, then you should fire him.
Agreed. That's where I am with this. This is why all this is kind of frustrating for me, because I say to myself, okay, he doesn't control the offense. He obviously never had. He's not a defensive guy. You're literally taking control of it from him. You're firing all his people. What is his role here? If you were going to strip this man down to his knickers and nothing else, why keep him in the building? It makes me think about the Sean Desai situation. If you're going to take away play calling and put him in a box, why is he in the building? What is with this?
And everybody knew he wouldn't be in the building.
Exactly. What is going on with this 1 foot in, 1 foot out mentality with the Eagles?
I don't know. And it stems in, don't blame Howie. This is all Jeffrey. When it comes to the high profile coaching decisions.
Is Jeffrey 1 foot in, 1 foot out with this organization? I mean, I know he's prepping his son, but is he?
No. What do you mean? No, he's not selling.
No, not selling. I mean, again, his son is he's prepping his son to take on a bigger role, right? Meaning that he's going to take a step back, I would imagine.
Well, no, he's prepping his son because he's 70 years old, and we all are mortal.
Of course.
And he's not going to be around forever, but he has no plans of leaving anytime soon. And he's in good health. So,
do you think he's focused?
Yeah, I think he's too focused. I think he should go on more yacht shopping trips and let the people he hired do their jobs. I think he's too focused on the team. Look, I always say it's his team. He can do whatever he wants, obviously, but know what you don't know. And he doesn't know assistant coaches and coordinators and football technique and game planning, and he doesn't know.
I think that's why I respect the Chiefs organization so much, because their ownership, you hardly even know what they look like. And even when you do, they hand the trophy over, or they don't even talk. You don't even see them. They truly.
Well, you see him when they
when the confetti falls.
Championship.
When the confetti falls, you see him. Other than that, they don't talk. You don't see him. It's just they let their football people do football things.
And that's what you should do. You have let Howie do his job, let Nick do his job, and if they're not doing their job, and then fire him. This straddling the fence stuff, boy, maybe it works and Jeffrey can spike the football, but it usually doesn't work.
Yeah. Let's get a little deeper into Kellen Moore and what he brings to the table. We obviously mentioned his the creativity he brings with the motion and the route concepts, and he's one of the young bright minds in this league. We've seen Dak have some pretty good years under him, but also Dak took his game to another level once he left as well. I pay attention to a lot of Cowboys talk.
It's almost like almost like the players matter. Yeah, I was talking about this on Bird. I'm watching the championship games, and I told Jody,
oh man,
and I'm being serious about this. Like I'm on Twitter, which is my own fault, but I'm looking at people, and they don't talk about the game. They talk about individual, like if there's a big play, in the moment they'll say something, but then it's back to, oh, the coach is doing this wrong. The coach, the officials. It's either the coaches or the officials. I'm like, come on, you're burying the lead, guys. You're burying the lead. We just talked about Bill Belichick a little bit. The two best coaches of this generation, Bill Belichick and Andy Reid. They both, if you're that good, you're around a long time. In the case of Bill, quarter century. Andy's well over 20 years himself. You have bad seasons. Bill's had bad seasons. Andy's had bad seasons. Are they bad coaches during those bad seasons?
No, I hear you. I'm with you.
You could be the best coach in the world, and if you don't have personnel, you're not winning. You're going to win more than other coaches. If everybody has the same roster, Andy and Bill are going to win the most with it. But everybody doesn't have the same roster. And look at the Detroit Lions, have been down forever. And they came up just short. And people criticizing Dan Campbell.
I can't criticize Dan Campbell. That's as an aside. I can't. He got there doing what he always done. And
I don't even know why people are criticizing, but that's another story. I can go off for 6 hours on that. But
what frustrates me about coaches is when they deviate from who they are, like the Ravens did.
Exactly. You want him to change who he is in the biggest moment, and what got him there, by the way. And by the way, they don't have a good field goal kicker. The assumption, 46, 47 yarders in that spot. They don't have Justin Tucker. They don't have Jake Elliott. They got a bad kicker. So the assumption any of those are going through, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I love how the assumption is, take the points. Like the points are there. Like the points are gifted. Jake Moody, average kicker for San Francisco, missed a kick in that game. Tyler Bass, 44-yard field goal. Big spot. Granted, it's Buffalo. Take the points. It was late in the game. They weren't taking the points. But you get my point.
Right.
The assumption is the field goal is going to go through. Guess what? It doesn't always go through. And 4th and 2, the guy dropped the football.
That's true. That's true.
But anyway, yeah, you got me on.
John, I got you on your soapbox, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And people did ask about trading A.J. Brown. I do want to say that. A.J. Brown has $42.5 million dead money hit if he's traded before June 1st. So, no, he's not getting traded. Now, after June 1st, they could trade him. But again, you have to understand the NFL calendar. Think about when AJ was acquired, draft night. By June 1st, most people have budgeted for free agency. The draft is over. Will they take on a player with that contract who's that talented? Sure. But it becomes far more difficult. So, And why do people want to trade AJ Brown? He's the best
I
player they have.
no, right. Since we're on that topic, right? I want to make my position clear. Because I spoke about this on Sports Take. I'm looking at the Philadelphia Eagles as a team that's kind of I'm looking at them as a team that kind of like balance. Their offense is super talented. Their defense, not so much. We always talk about having the players, right? And making sure you have the assets to rebuild that. Do I want to trade AJ Brown? No, I really don't. I love everything he brings to the table. He's their best offensive weapon. But I also look at it like this. The Eagles, they don't really have much money. I think this year they're going to have about 9 draft picks. And again, I'm not speaking of trading him this offseason. It wouldn't make fiscal sense at all, any financial sense. But I think the following season, I wouldn't put it past Howie Roseman in this organization to at least consider what they could get for a guy like AJ Brown, or even what they could get for a guy
it's going to be difficult long term to keep,
because
AJ
also Devontae
and
Smith as well.
Devontae.
He's coming up, so it's just and then Landon Dickerson is coming up, right? And then I'm pretty sure
There's
the
a lot of things. Everybody, yeah, I mean,
so it's just when I think about it from that perspective, you're paying Jalen Hurts the big bucks for a reason. There's going to come a point in time where one or two of those guys, AJ Brown or Devontae Smith, are not going to be there. He's going to have to elevate his game. The Eagles are going to do a better job of rebuilding his roster, building that defense with the assets they may acquire or could acquire from an AJ Brown trade later down the line. Again, I'm not saying trade AJ Brown this offseason. I'm not saying trade AJ Brown in general. I like AJ Brown. But again, we have to
and there's
consider
always,
all outcomes here.
Sometimes a player wants out.
Exactly. And I'm not even saying he wants out today. I'm not even trying to imply anything. I'm just simply saying, and I'm not saying you're saying that I'm saying this, but I want to make sure that people understand, what my position is. The Philadelphia Eagles are at a point in time weighing cost and benefit for everybody, and they're going to continue to do that every single offseason and in the season. I can't put it past them if they consider trading Hassan Reddick this offseason. I can't
No, I would say Hassan is more likely. Something's going to be done with Hassan.
Yeah, something's going to be done, especially with the contract, looming. He's either going to get traded or they're going to probably restructure, extend something. But
and
they're looking at everybody.
They can save a lot of money. That money's not really a concern for them this season. They can create a lot of money by extending certain players and releasing Kevin Byard, Avonte Maddox potentially. So I wouldn't worry much about the cap space, and obviously Howie's tremendous at it.
But it is fair to say that all things are potentially on the table, given their circumstances. No one is safe, basically.
I think AJ's pretty safe unless AJ doesn't want to be here.
Okay. Okay.
I would describe it that way.
Do you see the Philadelphia Eagles, again, since we're on this topic, do you see the Philadelphia Eagles being able to sustain an AJ Brown and future Devontae Smith contract?
Yeah, I mean, it's uncharted territory. Depends how high you have to go for Devontae's going to get significant money, but he's not going to get Justin Jefferson money. So there's levels of it. So
his estimated market value right now, I believe, is 19.8 million, 19.5 million estimated yearly.
Yeah, and then it becomes a problem because AJ's better, so AJ's got to get more. So all of this stuff is very difficult to deal with, but it hasn't happened. But the salary cap keeps going up. You can manipulate it. It's going to be easier to do than it has been in years prior. But it would behoove them to develop some young talent at receiver, which they haven't been able to do. So,
and also, look, that defense needs a lot of pieces.
They're gonna have to make some tough decisions there.
And that's all I'm saying. Tough decisions are coming. Eagles fans, just buckle up. That's my main point. Because again, when I made my claim about AJ Brown on Sports Take, I think I said it today and the day before. My biggest point that I was trying to make to the people, because you guys watch the content, and I always want to make sure I'm coming across as clearly as possible. Tough decisions are looming for the Philadelphia Eagles, regardless of the player you like, love, or if you own their jersey. Tough
And
decisions are coming.
never buy current. That my jersey advice to people is never buy current players. So figure out the legendary Eagle you like and go throwback.
That's smart. That's very smart. Because I'm almost embarrassed to share this, and you're gonna laugh at me. All right. I fell victim to the Travis Fulgham hype.
Oh my Lord.
Yes. And I found that jersey on the Fanatic on the Pro Shop. I found it.
Woof.
And my God, I have not taken that jersey out of the closet for God knows how long.
Travis Fulgham, man.
It's staying there, by the way. I'm not. I'm not. That thing is like.
Well, God bless you, man. That was a hell of a 4-game run,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very weird.
Very weird. Very weird. I don't know how a guy like that just falls off. Well, actually, we do. It happens all the time. Guys get hot and they just disappear. It's a part of the game.
Travis evidently was not a very good practice player, so would drive the coaches crazy. But he did have that good run. Yeah, I would have held up on that jersey, Tom.
yeah.
But I don't buy jerseys, so
I know. But back to the topics at hand. We covered a lot that I didn't even plan on talking about, but that AJ Brown topic is something that's it's in the air right now, and people just got to understand.
Why is it in the air though? Who created that?
I think people.
If AJ look, and that's another thing where we started with the coaching staff. So I'll go back. When you make all this change, players can look at it and say, you know what, I don't want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So, from that standpoint, if it's player generated, I'll start talking about it.
Right.
But AJ's shown no evidence of saying he doesn't want to be back. So,
right.
Until that happens, this is not the year to trade AJ Brown.
And I agree with that 100%. This is not the year to do so. I agree with that 100%. I was looking at the contract. I think they're going to take some kind of hit, but there's a potential out after this season because I think the guarantee money would be pretty much dried up. But the Eagles are in a situation where they need players. No matter how we slice it, they need players. And they're going to consider every prospect and how to get those players.
Yeah, but I think it's always good business to not mess with your best player unless you have to. And that's AJ's their best player. AJ's their best football player.
He is
best
correct.
Pure football player.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean they got plenty of room. They can do stuff, as I said, with Reddick, whether it's extension, or maybe they decide to move on. Kevin Byard, he's not going to be back unless Vic Fangio loves him.
Right.
And even that, he's going to be back at a reduced number. Slay, who knows? He'll be here, but maybe they tweak that deal a little bit. Kelsey, I still think he's more leaning towards retirement, so you're going to get some money from there. Abante, it's going to be difficult to bring him back, especially, they signed Isaiah Rodgers, who if he's reinstated, I expect him to be. Josh Sweat, you can extension candidate. Brandon will, take I think he'll be back for year 15, but, he'll take a $5 million deal. Won't be that. Fletcher might retire. You don't have to worry about that. James Bradbury, you're probably going to have to take your medicine, move on from that. That'll be a little bit of a hit. But a lot of places you can go before you get to AJ Brown. A lot of places.
I'm sure. Moving on from AJ Brown, though, I want to make this final point about Kellen Moore and pick your brain about this. When we look at Kellen Moore's resume in the NFL, he's worked with Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert. Those guys are more so on the side of being prototypical drop-back quarterbacks, right? We haven't really seen Kellen Moore operate with someone of Jalen Hurts' stature or skill set per se. I'm curious to know what's your thoughts on just that marriage between Kellen Moore and Jalen Hurts. When you heard the hire come through, did you think, okay, decent fit, or did you say, I need to see how this works out? What was going through your mind?
I got to see how it works out. I think Cliff Kingsbury would have been a better fit if you're just trying to mold an offense around what Jalen Hurts does well. But, if you're looking to evolve it and add in playing more under center, basically the only time the Eagles are under center is when they're tush pushing, and they rarely throw it when they're under center. Motion. Kellen's top 10, the Eagles are 32nd. So,
his offenses have typically done well against the blitz also.
Yeah, number 1 in the NFL against the blitz in 2022. So, no more excuses for Jalen on the blitz, because everybody, wants to blame Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni. And I keep telling them, well, they handled the blitz before. Why are they not handling the blitz now? This nuttiness about hot routes, which is a very simple concept and has nothing to do with the head coach calling a hot route. That's not how it works.
Right. Hot routes happen at pre-snap.
Yeah, that's when somebody's coming that's unaccounted for. Who's responsible for that? The quarterback. The quarterback and the receiver have to recognize it, have to be on the same page, and have to execute the particular play. If you have 5 to block and they're sending 6, one man's not accounted for. That's on the quarterback to get the football out on time and to his hot read. So, Kellen Moore's offenses have been very good at it. So maybe it wasn't taught properly. Maybe you can blame that on Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson, but you can't blame it on Kellen Moore because he's shown he can do it.
Right.
At a high level. So if the same stuff happens this year, you got to start looking at the quarterback and holding them accountable.
I agree with you 150%. That's one of the first things I said once this hire came through. Me and Rob Ellis were talking about it. And same with Dan Silio. I said, now the onus is completely on the quarterback to take his game to another level. You can't sit here and say, oh, well, the play caller doesn't know how to respond to the blitz. He has a proven track record of knowing what to do when the blitz is coming at his offense. You said something very interesting, right? Cliff Kingsbury would have been the obvious choice if you were trying to mold the offense around Jalen Hurts' skill set. Kellen Moore is the choice if you're trying to evolve what he does, right? I want to make sure I heard you correctly.
Yes.
So what we're saying here, or what we're inferring, is that this team, Jeffrey Lurie, when they brought in Kellen Moore, they said to themselves, okay, yes, we love that Jalen Hurts is able to do the RPO thing, but we want him to be more than just an RPO quarterback. Is that their ultimate vision for Jalen Hurts? Are they trying to essentially elevate his game to be a 7-step drop back guy? Are they completely trying to get away from the RPO? And also, do you think they're hurting their quarterback by not leaning into his skill set rather than trying to expand it?
Well, I think they would hurt the quarterback if they don't, it's about expansion. It's not about limit. It's not about taking away. It's about expanding what he does do well. If it goes in another direction, then I think it's negative. As far as why, look, again, I'm not going to sit there and say the Eagles made the decision to evolve Jalen Hurts' game. Maybe Nick made that decision. As far as Jeffrey goes, it's about, oh, we don't use motion. Let's get the guy who uses motion. Oh, we're not under center. Let's get the guy who goes under center. Stuff like that. The drastic reactionary pendulum. Oh, we're not doing this. Let's do this. So I don't think it's as deep from the owner.
Because, for me, I look at it like, okay, the Eagles did struggle with the blitz, or the quarterback did, however you want to slice it, whatever makes the viewer feel better. quarterback, coach, whatever, they struggled with the blitz. You bring in a guy who does that well. I would expect that to improve going forward. But again, the bottom line is this is a situation where, yeah, we can say good hire, bad hire, but we're not going to know until the product goes on the field and we see Jalen Hurts in the 2024 season.
And by the way, nobody's saying Kellen Moore hasn't. I see that. Nobody's saying Kellen Moore hasn't run an RPO. They weren't.
Right. That's not what we're saying, but
yeah.
You know, he has a flavor to his offense.
Everybody runs RPOs, even in the modern game. Everybody, even the teams with, you know, drop out. Matthew Stafford runs RPOs. Kirk Cousins runs RPOs, but they're not heavy RPO teams. The Eagles were a heavy RPO and RPR team. Because
here's the thing: you can make an argument. You can make an argument. Every team does a little bit of everything, but every team has their niche that they lean harder into. Every team does everything, but every offense has a complexion to it. Has a nuance that puts them more so in a certain category. But the Eagles, they were an RPO
by
team.
the way, that used to drive Chip Kelly nuts because Chip was, you know, one of the first to go heavy in the case of Sam Bradford. It wasn't RPO, it was, you know, zone read because there's no run option with Sam Bradford. So it used to drive him crazy. So, you know, even Sam Bradford, who couldn't move at all, there were the mechanics of the zone read in the offense. Yeah, everybody uses it. This drives me crazy with me. They're like, nobody's saying Kellen Moore hasn't run an RPO in the history of the world. He didn't build his offense around the RPO and the RPR. They built the offense around it.
And that's what we're saying.
Any people remember the 2-5 start when Nick first got here? They were running the Phillip Rivers offense from Indianapolis. Didn't work. Didn't work because that was not the strength of the quarterback. Now, where's the quarterback now? They want to continue to evolve the quarterback, but not take away from what he does well. And Nick actually said that. We've had a lot of success when he was forced to turn my offense into our offense. He said, we have to keep doing the things we've done well because we have a lot of success. So it's just about evolution in the passing game, not taking away what they've done well.
There you have it, Eagles fans. Look, this is going to be a very fascinating offseason. A lot of moves still have to be come across the wire. Many moves are going to happen that you love and that you may hate. But regardless, John and I are going to be here giving you guys the scoop because he is our Philadelphia Eagles insider here at JAKIB Sports. Make sure you guys smash that like button and also make sure you guys are subscribed to the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. If you want more from John McMullen, check him out on SI.com. You know, you ain't got to, but you should. He does an amazing job covering the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the best in the business doing it, and giving you the most objective takes out there. Also, make sure you guys check him out on Birds 365 with his partner in crime, Jordan McDonald. They give you personality. They give you everything you need in the AM when you're on your way to work. And I really appreciate those guys. They do great work, and I always listen to the show to try to get the little tidbits from my own content that I do on JAKIB Sports here with my guys, Rob Ellis and Dan Cilio. So, again, make sure you guys smash that like button and make sure you guys are subscribed to the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys for locking in. This has been Football 24/7 with John McMullen, and I've been your host, Tone DeShields II, and we'll see you next time. Take care, you guys.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com.